evolution is very closely related to genetic field. See, we know all sort of epidemics and that is antibiotics. That is how, starting from penicillin, the bacteria, how it got through evolution, how it has evolved and got its resistance and all that. So without understanding some evolution on some basic aspects, I think it will be better for people involved in health or in medicine. I think it is very, very important to know the origin of human beings as well as human evolution. See, what I heard or what I came to know is in India, in medical courses, there is not much stress on human evolution. Only in some of the medical colleges like AIMS, they have some little part of thing on evolution, particularly on human evolution. We know recently that the NCERT textbook, it has removed the topic on evolution. So I don't want to delve deep into that. We know why it was removed. And recently, Ganesh Chaturthi was held. And all over India, people revere Vinayaka or God player. But unfortunately, one of the very, very eminent person, some 9 years ago, when he was inaugurating one hospital, he talked about something, that is attaching elephant's head with human body. That practice existed long back ago. And he has talked some other stuff also. But in today's context, as far as you know, excuse me. Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Please. My grandson suddenly entered.
Okay.
So, as far as human evolution, next, please. See, since historical times, people are giving many reasons for evolution of human beings. In this picture, we could see on the top, there is one tortoise.
Sorry, sir.
Back, yes. Please. There is one tortoise. Above the tortoise, there are actually 4 elephants. Only 3 we could see. And up on those elephants, the earth was rest above those elephants. This is Indian mythology. This is how we see the world and its evolution in Indian mythology. Next, what we see is the god Prometheus. See, recently a movie had come, Oppenheimer, we might have heard.
Yes, sir.
Originally, that movie was adapted from the biography, American Prometheus. Who is Prometheus? Prometheus is a god who had stolen fire from heaven and he brought it to earth and give it to human beings. Then, through utilizing that fire, human beings evolved. But Prometheus was condemned by God Zeus. He was imprisoned and there was a spell on him. Every day, a vulture would come and it will eat part of his liver and flew away. Then subsequently his liver will grow. Next day, it will again come and it will go and eat and it will flew away. See, this is the story of Prometheus. Then the famous picture where we could see Adam and Eve, how God created on the sixth day Adam and Eve.
Shall
Of
I
course,
change
the
slides?
resting day is Sunday. So Sabbath, that is the seventh day Sunday. So this is from Abrahamic religions, all religions, that is Christianity or Judaism or Islam, all these have this Old Testament evolutionary story. Then we know scientific revolution started from Galileo. From Galileo, that is some 400 years ago, the modern scientific thoughts emerged. And we know whenever we talk about evolution, we will start with Darwin. So Darwin's theory of evolution has three ideas. One is variation. Variation means that there are various characteristics or various phenotypes among species. So within the species, they inherit certain characteristics. And whichever characteristics that are being inherited, if they are fit to be survive or fit to survive in this world through natural selection, those species will survive. So let it be very short. Next. See, as far as Darwin is concerned, actually he was supposed to do medicine. His father put him in a medical college, but he couldn't survive there. He couldn't bear people crying when some kind of surgery or some kind of treatment that was being done. So he disliked that course. Then his father suggested him another thing, that is to study theology to become a clergy. Of course, that also he disliked. Then he got an opportunity, actually. Darwin was actually very much interested in nature. He used to chase butterflies, insects, birds. He loved trees, animals. So he had an opportunity. On those days, whenever some sea voyages took place, there'll be one person who will be accompanying the captain as a companion. Because without a companion, the concerned captain might get some psychological disturbance. There are instances where the captains have committed suicide. So Darwin was asked to accompany one captain in a particular, this beagle. Fitzroy is his name. See, he accompanied Fitzroy. The voyage started by 1831. And around 5 years, Darwin went around the world. Particularly he visited South America, part of America, part of South Asia, Africa, and all that. So he observed a lot of things, particularly in South America, in Galapagos Islands. He has observed one thing, wherein Galapagos Island consists of lot of hundreds of islands. So he could see a particular kind of finches. See, those finches in each and in separate islands, they have different type of beaks. Darwin was puzzled. See why it seems to be all seems to be physically looking like a finch, but their beaks are different. Like that, he had seen this tortoise. Some tortoise have shorter legs and lengthy neck. Others have shorter necks and all that. So all these things he noted in his diaries, and he collected a lot of specimens. While going through the journey, he sent those specimens to his house and all that. Even he had witnessed one earthquake. So all these experiences enriched, and he had internalized all those things, and he was doing a lot of subsequently he returned to his home, where after 5 years he was welcomed by his father. Of course, he has not fulfilled his father's wish, but anyway, Darwin was a wealthy person. His father was a wealthy person, so he had established his own place, and he married his cousin Emma, and along with her, he lived in a separate place where he was doing a lot of research, where actually he was breeding birds like pigeons and dogs, etc., etc. So it is a kind of artificial selection, wherein he has observed certain traits could be changed through artificial selection. So he was supposed to he was thinking of writing a book on this aspect. That is how things, living things evolved, and over the period of time, how they changed. In between that, he had received one letter from Mr. Alfred Russel Wallace. Alfred Russel Wallace was actually a person who was he was collecting species, bird species, and something like that, and he used to send it to England, and he earned money out of it. Initially, he was doing it in Brazil, subsequently in Amazon, subsequently he shifted his place to uh, that is present day Indonesian islands. That is Malay archipelago. That is Malay archipelago means a lot of islands. It consists a lot of islands in South Asia. So where he observed a lot of living things, and he concluded, see, actually these living things should not have been existed in long time. They must have evolved from some other living things. So actually these living things are getting evolved. That was his idea, central idea. He had written a letter to Charles Darwin stating that this was his hypothesis. So Darwin was shell shocked, because since 1931, he was actually going on thinking and going on doing research on this same thing. And almost Alfred Russel Wallace has written a letter wherein he had stated what Darwin was thinking and supposed to write a book on that. But Darwin was a very honest person. He could understand Russel Wallace, but the position of Darwin was now difficult. See, if he released a book without the knowledge of Russel Wallace, actually people might think Darwin is a plagiarist. He's plagiarizing Russell's idea. So Darwin had written a letter to Wallace, and stating that actually he was also contemplating on the aspect for more than 20 years. So the one idea was suggested. Let both of them put their papers in London Linnaeus Society and let both of them get credit. That consensus was reached. But of course, when it was supposed to be submitted, that was not known to Alfred Russel Wallace. Darwin was at that time grieving in his home for the lot for for the loss of one of his child. So he also put in London Linnean Society on that occasion. Anyway, after that, Darwin was persuaded by his friends to write the book on the origin of species. That's a book which has shaken the world because the first time that central idea, that is species as such, that was being witnessed were there for a for a long time that were not there. They have evolved from one to another over a course of time. That time might be several million years or several thousand years. Darwin could not speculate the time of the origin of species at that time, the changes at that time. Only later on, those ideas evolved. Even at that time, in his book, Darwin mentioned one thing. That is, he hadn't talked much about human evolution. The statement that was made by Darwin was in his book, in the distant future, I look forward to seeing whether light will be thrown on the origin of man and his history. Again, I'm repeating, in the distant future, I look forward to seeing whether light will be thrown on the origin of man and his history. Why he had written so? Because this statement is brief, but it is significant because it shows that Darwin believed that his theory of evolution by natural selection could also be applied to humans. He was cautious about making much more explicit statements about human evolution. However, because he knew that his theory would be controversial and that it would be especially difficult to accept the idea that humans had evolved from other animals. So Darwin didn't reveal in Origin of Species that human beings also evolved from animals. But only in 1871, in his book Descent of Man, he propounded that idea that human beings evolved from apes. Darwin used to visit London Zoo. There was one ape, that is a species of orangutan. He used to observe that animal, and he used to compare it with human beings' gestures and all that. Not only that, Darwin somehow concluded the human beings would have evolved from some kind of apes, might be chimpanzee or gorilla, from Africa. Later on, his speculation it has come true. Next. See, evolution is not a planned occurrence. It was not planned by some super being. Actually, some 66 million years ago, there was an asteroid. That asteroid, it fallen on the Earth in Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico. The impact was so heavy. It lasted for several hundred years. So slowly the family of dinosaurs, they got extinct. So the fossils we found later on, we could understand such a kind of very large as well as very small dinosaurs existed in this world once upon a time. So at that period, uh, there was a small mammal family, rather family, primates that were there. Those primates that were able to survive in that condition, a lot of species got extinct because of that impact. The primates could survive. Next, among the primates, I will move a little bit faster. Among the primates, our evolution starts from apes. So we can categorize the apes as of now. There are close to man. There are man. Actually, it should be woman. See, the world is always we project man instead of a woman. Actually, it should have been a woman. This picture. So whenever I say man, it should also mean a woman. So let us start with orangutan. See, you can see it as watch it as a tree. See, in this tree, one branch, it has evolved into orangutan. That is this orange ape. Those apes are still living in Indonesian and Malaysian forests. That is supposed to have evolved around 9.13 million years ago. Then subsequently, the gorillas living in the country of Congo, that evolved around 8.5 to 12 million years ago. Then subsequently, we could see 5.5 to 7 million years ago, there are two branches deviating. One branch is deviating into two kind of apes. That is, one on the left side is chimpanzee. Left side is chimpanzee. The right side is bonobos. For a really very long time, people thought bonobos and chimpanzees were the same species. But later on, scientists concluded both are different species and both have evolved from a common ancestor around 1.5 million years ago. So let it be. See this 5.5 to 7 million years, what happened? That is what we are going to see in this human evolution. How we have evolved, how sapiens evolved. Sapiens as a species. Homo sapiens sapiens evolved. Next. See, we have seen the fossils of dinosaurs. See, people used to collect this kind of fossils for a very long time, since Aristotle's time. They were puzzled and they couldn't foresee what it is. Later on, we could see that some kind of animal skeleton were fossilized. So initially in 1856 in German, in a place called Neanderthal, a partial skeleton was excavated. So that was named as Neanderthal. At the time, we don't have any idea about human evolution and all that. We didn't think it's our ancestor or something connected to human beings. We didn't think. We thought that something, probably some kind of men lived in those times. Then in 1891, a very interesting story. This is a very interesting story. There is a doctor who lived in Netherlands. His name is Eugene Dubon. Actually, he was very much interested in the theory of evolution. He had read both Darwin and as well as the other I think, who is Wallace. So he thought probably Wallace might be right about evolution. If we could search something in South Asia, we could find some kind of fossils. Fortunately, he got an appointment in Indonesia. He was posted there. Subsequently, he was transferred to Java. He was an amateur paleoanthropologist. We can say paleoanthropologist. People who are interested in history of human beings in the paleo olden days. So he had found some skeletal remains and bones, fossils. But the world didn't believe him. They thought he couldn't be, see, they haven't took him seriously. Then subsequently another thing happened. In 1925, there was a doctor. He was also a doctor, physician, Raymond Dot. He completed his medicine in Australia, and he had gone to South Africa, where in Johannesburg he served as a doctor. He was also interested in fossils. Normally, he used to collect fossils of monkeys. One day, he had received 2 boxes. See, he was supposed to attend a wedding. So, he had received 2 boxes. He opened one box. He could see only the skeletal remains of monkeys. In another box, when he opened, there was a ball-like skull is there. He took that skull and he looked. And he could see some difference between a monkey skull and this skull. Then subsequently some other skeletal remains were also found. And he concluded this species might have been one of the ancestors of us. So he traveled all around the world, he displayed it, and his theory was also rejected. Why? See, in this picture, you are seeing a picture here, filled down hoax. In the downside, this green letters, that is a filled down skull. See, in England, in Piltdown, in 1907, I didn't remember his name, he found this skull along with some other animals' skeletal bones. And subsequently, in 1912, he displayed it various places, and subsequently the scientists agreed it was our ancestor. So it named as Piltdown man. See, we know that period, that is during that period, colonialism was at its peak. And I need not say about racialism also. So immediately the mind of Western mind accepted it. See, why not? See, white races are superior to other races. So the first human being might have been a white, evolved in England or in Europe. Why not? They thought like that, and they have concluded Piltdown man as our ancestor. Then in 1952, it was found out that it was a hoax. The skeleton, actually the skull, was partly human and partly the face is actually, it belonged to orangutan. So somebody has fixed it and put it with other skeletal remains, and it has become a very big hoax. So then only they could see the truth of Eugene Du Bois, subsequently Raymond Dot. Then people started their journey in anthropology, and they have started looking back to Africa. There were a lot of findings took place. In 1972, Donald Johnson was a famous anthropologist, and he found a lot of skeletal remains of various species. One of his species was named as Lucy. The skeleton of Lucy, actually, it is a species called Australopithecus afrensis. It is actually, he found it in Tanzania. Subsequently, in 1978, in Tanzania, Mary Leakey, she found the footprints of somebody walking in the ashes of some volcano. Volcano, actually, the ashes had become cool, and some 3 persons walked over it. So that has become another thing. So it was clearly established that these footprints were made by somebody who walked upright. Then a lot of findings that took place. In 2001, in Chad, that is, I talked about this 7 million years. See, in Chad, this fossil, that is, it is called actually Chadensis, Sahelanthropus chadensis. It is named as Tumoi. Tumoi is, in that Chad language, it's a woman who can bear all sort of trouble. That is the name. This name was given by the president of Chad at that time. This Tumoi was supposed to be our oldest ancestor because she walked by 2 legs. That is bipedalism. Bipedalism is the foremost thing which separates us from apes. Then subsequently, a lot of things, even in recent times, this homonality was found out in, see, I couldn't see that year because of 2013. 2013, Lee Berger in South Africa, he was conducting a lot of research till now. This species was named as Homo naledi. Then subsequently, even in 2004, one fossil, a lot of fossils were found out in Flores Islands. It is near Indonesia. Those remains of those species were around 3 feet only, but their skeletons, it closely resembled the Homo species. So a lot of things are now being connected, and new species are day by day we are finding out new skeletal remains, and their year subsequently. Since 1972, this Lucy was supposed to be evolved around that is 3.2 million years. This, Mary Leakey's footprints, that is Leotoli footprints, it is around 3.8 million years. So we can definitely say the Australopithecus species would have evolved around 4 million years ago. Next. See, now let us compare through their skeletons, the size of their brain. Let us start with Chadensis, that is Tumai. It is less than 500, say around 340 cubic centimeters, like a chimpanzee. Then Afrensis and Africanus, that is Lucy and all these Leotoli, these footprints that belong to, that were found out in Leotoli, that is around 3 million years, lived around 3 million years, more than 3 million years ago. The size must be around 400 to 420 cubic centimeters. Then Homo habilis, it is called handyman. First time the species which used some kind of uh, what to say, some kind of ஆயுதம் தமிழ்ல என்ன சொல்றதுன்னு சொல்ல முடியல. In
Weapon?
some kind of
Tools?
what?
Tools.
Some kind of tool to scrape the flesh from some kind of animal's bone and all. So still there are some fossils which indicate those scratches as if they have scrapped flesh from the bones. That is Homo habilis. Even that brain size was around 600 cubic centimeters to 650 cubic centimeters. Then one leap occurred, that is Homo ergaster, subsequently Homo erectus. Actually, Homo erectus was the first species. It came out of Africa. It has traveled a very long distance. See, we have seen what Du Bois had found out. Actually, Du Bois had found out the species that was Homo erectus. Homo erectus means a person who is standing in an erect position. That was the name given for that species, Homo erectus. That was a species first used fire, as well as they were hunting other animals. Between this Homo habilis and Homo erectus, a major change took place in eating pattern. Actually, this Afrensis species, Afrensis family rather, they were actually eating fruits or some kind of leaves and all that. Basically, they were all vegetarian. Sometimes they might eat small eggs or small chicks and all that. Basically, their food consists of fruits and leaves. Only from the time of Homo habilis, the food pattern changed a little bit. So meat was consumed. Initially, before the habilis or even at the time of habilis, most of the times they were scavengers. Subsequently, it had become the species Homo erectus had become a predator. Instead of being predator, it has become a predator. It used to hunt. So the consumption of meat consumption it has consumed more meat, and it was related to the growth of the brain. Normally, the other kind of food, it consists less amount of protein or fat or something like that. But the meat, it consists a lot of protein and fat. It helped the growth of brain. So it attained the growth of brain around, say, more than 900, 950 cubic centimeters. Then subsequently around 400,000 years ago, a new species emerged in Africa, that is Homo heidelbergensis. From Homo heidelbergensis, this Neanderthal it has evolved in Europe and part of Asia. Their brain size was more than 1,500 cc. From Homo heidelbergensis, we must have been evolved. That is the theory now. As of now, that is the theory. Next. See, I was talking about the skull. I was talking about the skull. See, the skull actually, whenever a skull like of Australopithecus afrensis or africanus is concerned, their face, it resembles a chimpanzee. Don't be like a human. Then how come Raymond Dart concluded it was our ancestor? See, here is a comparison between a chimpanzee and a human. See, you all know what is foramen magnum. Foramen magnum is a hole which connects the vertebrate with brain. So it is 90 degrees. It means that particular species was walking in two legs. That was called bipedalism. So when bipedalism started, we started our journey, and as of now, it ended up with Homo sapiens. Next, please. This is a place first in Morocco where they found out the Homo sapien uh, species actually remains. Then subsequently, the age we couldn't assess. Now in Morocco, that place we assessed the age around 300,000 years ago. So we all have supposed to have been evolved in Africa around 300,000 years ago. Our journey started from there. Next. See, this thing actually, when compared to you, I am a novice. Anyway, I'll tell this. See, how come we see in modern genetics also, we could assess the time of the remains, skeletal remains, if we by analyzing the genetic material. See, in DNA, I need not explain what is Y chromosome and what is X chromosome or Y-DNA, mtDNA and all that. But mutation occurs in Y-DNA as well as mitochondrial DNA. All of us, whether men or women, all our mtDNA are coming through our mother lineage. Only women can transfer mtDNA. This Y-DNA separates male and female, that is XY, in 23rd pair of chromosomes. This autosomal is rest of the 22 pairs. So actually by calculating the mutation, how long it will take to mutate in a particular time of period, we could assess the people living all around the world, how long, at what time they have traveled, by calculating the Y-DNA markers. We can say now that we have left Africa around 60,000 years and traveled towards Middle East, then subsequently Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia up to Australia. That might have been the first migration. Rest of the migrations then took part in Europe, and from Europe or from Japan, migration took place to America. Like that, we can also assess the period through mitochondrial DNA and its mutation and all that. So now, by studying fossils as well as studying DNA, next please, we could find out at what time we have appeared, our ancestors appeared first time back. See, as far as India is concerned, the first sapiens arrived here around 60,000 years before. Even some research conducted in 2012 along with Spencer Wells in Madurai Kamarajar University, professor, I didn't recollect his name, I think, Pichemtu or somebody, I couldn't recollect. Pichappan, along with Spencer Wells. One Virmondi's DNA was analyzed, and it could be connected to Australian aborigines as well as some African tribes. So there was a connection. So by analyzing the DNA markers in India, we can say at different periods, people migrated to this subcontinent. The first migration took place around 60,000 years ago. Then another major thing happened around 25,000 years ago. Then subsequently various migration took place. The Indo-Europeans arrived here, say around 3,000 years before. Before that, there was one very great civilization. Indus Valley civilization was here. And so many controversies are also there. Some people claim that Indo-Aryans, actually, they were the people who built this Indus Valley civilization and all that. But that theory was debunked now. Actually, the horses came here only after the Indo-European people entered India. Before that, there were no horses in India. Only one species, very closely related to horses, that is called onager, that still lives in Gujarat. Otherwise, horses were not indigenous. It was actually brought by the people, that is, people who are normally called Aryans. We cannot call a particular people in a particular generalize. We cannot generalize their Aryans. We can, for our convenience, we can say Aryans because they spoke Indo-European language or Indo-Aryan language. So they came here in different segments and particular some kind of culture that was distributed through them. Before that, there were Dravidian languages were spoken here, and there were a lot of mixtures. Now, if we analyze the Indian population, we could see a lot of mixture of these things. If you go up in the north, you can see a lot of mixture of Indo-European lineage. If you come down, the mixture will be not that much. And there are pre-Aryan, pre-Dravidian DNA is much more prevalent among all Indian population. So there are a lot of things. So let us come to another topic. See, actually, the impact of modern medicine on human evolution, that we can look into, I think. See, after the invention of antibiotics or the other things like, what to say, madam, please?
Vaccine, sir?
Not only vaccine, this actually childbirth, the operation we are doing, I couldn't name.
You mean cesarean sections?
Cesarean section, cesarean, C-section.
Yes.
See, the C-section, before that, before C-section, the women mortality rate was very high. After that, millions of lives of women were saved because of cesarean. And a lot of medicines contain a lot of pandemics also. So normally the life expectancy has increased and a lot of new gene pool were created. And also I need not explain what is epigenetic impact on health, because it is not genetically transferred. It is more of culturally transferred, I think.
Yes.
If somebody could explain what it is technically, it would be better later on after I finish this.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Next, please. Next, please. Since the cultural evolution played a major part in our evolution. See, this cooking, actually, instead of raw meat, when Homo erectus used fire, the meat has become a cooked meat. So they could consume it and they could get the energy immediately. So it has boosted the growth of the brain. One thing. See, even if you visit Mudumalai, you can see one thing. See, the elephants which are tamed, they used to give food for those tamed elephants in the evening. Lot of horse gram and other things, jaggery or rice, whatever be. So those elephants, when they are left inside the forest, they don't forage. They don't take much time to forage inside the forest. But the wild elephants approximately takes around 16 hours to forage within the forest. Why? Because elephants, whatever they consume, uh, they couldn't consume the whole food fully. It will be only partial. Whatever they get the nutrient partially. That is why they need several hundred kilograms of fodder or leaves or something within a day. But these tamed animals, they are partly fed by human beings. So they don't need that. So there is a difference between a cooked food and uncooked food. You take 1 kg of carrot and try that, raw carrot. If you start eating, you could finish the last carrot only by midnight. If it is
I
cooked within a cooker, you can consume it within, say, watching TV for an hour. So that's the difference. The same amount of calorie you will get within an hour by cooking.
Yes.
So this is one major part on our evolution. Cooking made us human. There is a book called Cooking, How Cooking Made Us Human. The other thing is writing. Actually, our brain is wired for speech. There is one gene called some FOXP12 or something like that. That is the main gene for our ability to speak and our ability to absorb language and our ability to think through language. But our brain it has not evolved for writing and reading. Writing and reading, it happened only at a later period. People used to draw something in the caves
Yes.
to suggest something else.
Cave
It was
art.
sign language. Actually, those drawings, these Paleolithic drawings were sign languages. We can take it as some kind of sign, some kind of message they are telling to others. Later on, the exact way of writing, it happened after agriculture, after the invention of agriculture only, the two after civilization. We started writing things. The two, the aristocracy used it. So it was not widely, all people are not literate, only selected few. But even then, the writing had the ability to retain the knowledge for a long time. You can read again and again, or you can transmit something through writing. That is one aspect for our very fast cultural evolution. The other thing is, as I said, from Paleolithic tools to modern AI. So all these things we can put together as cultural evolution. So there is one biological evolution. Subsequently, there is one cultural evolution. In the cultural evolution, we have formed states, countries, government, and of course, families, joint families, nuclear families, living together. All these things happen in cultural evolution. So this is another part. Next. So while talking about evolution, normally we think the right hand picture you can see from chimpanzee. Here also it is patriarch. See, you see the drawing, all are males. See, from chimpanzee to man, or we can say from chimpanzee to a woman. So it is linear. Actually, this process is not linear. This process is very complex. See, this is evolutionary tree. You can see a tree here. See, this right-hand picture is called, that is teleological. Teleological means it is a linear way of progression. Evolution is not progression. Each species in this world has its own right to exist, its own way of living. Human beings are not the pinnacle of evolution. That we have to understand now. So this anthropogenic view has to be shed after learning what is evolution. See, in the top, actually, a human being was there with coat and all that. See, this human Homo sapien, actually, he was traveled various phases from 7 million years to this date. But this is not progression. What we can say is Homo erectus, it evolved around 2 million years ago, and it roamed around the earth till 300,000 years, till 300,000 years before. That means around that is 1.7 million years, they have existed in this world. Why? To become sapiens? No. It has, as a species, it has its own purpose to live. The purpose of erectus is not to become sapient. See, evolution is a random process. In that random process, somehow
What happened, sir? Is it disconnected?
we have become the reason for the present condition of the world. See, on one side, the progression of science, well-being, medical field and all that is all there. On the other side, the demon is knocking our door. That is climate change, which was now we call the era as anthropogenic era. Next. See, let me conclude with this quote, because I have found something. There are some American universities, they are teaching actually along with their course, they are teaching evolution. I will quote some universities, some American universities. See, in India, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi, Christian Medical College, Vellore, Jawaharlal Nehru Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education and Research, JIP and Research, Puducherry, Pondicherry, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal, St. John's Medical College, Bengaluru. These colleges and institutions have evolutionary biology as only as an elective course. The other, as far as I know, the other colleges, I think, they don't have elective courses in medical colleges. See, in UK, there are several medical colleges offers evolutionary biology along with, as a main course, along with medicine. Say, we can say Duke University, Harvard Medical School, John Hopkins, Stanford, University of California, University of Michigan, University of Pennsylvania, Washington University, Yale School of Medicine. Then in United Kingdom, University of Birmingham, University of Bristol, University of Cambridge Medical School, and several other medical colleges. They have this course. Why? Because in this era of pandemic, without understanding what is evolution, how we evolve, actually, what are all the changes took place when we evolve? Without understanding all these things, a scientific approach towards human health is not possible. Even for evolution, there are some books, particularly one book by uh, Carl Zimmer uh, on evolution that was prescribed for some colleges in US. Actually, Carl Zimmer was a science writer. He did his basic course in English literature. Subsequently, he studied biology and started writing a lot of books on biology. Now he's a famous science writer. So here, what I want to stress is, in India, we have to make changes in our study materials in biology from the school itself. Unfortunately, we are going backwards. NCRT has withdrawn the course on evolution. Of course, let us hope medical colleges will introduce the evolution after this great pandemic happened in 2019. So, to understand biology, I would like to quote Theodorus Dubinsky. That is, nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful, sir. That is like super exciting session for me because, as you said, I do have a bunch of books on evolution because, like you conduct book clubs, I do have a target personally to read 60 books per year, which are non-medical textbooks. And A Tree of Life is one book I read last year, and a bunch of books I read
Yes.
only on evolutionary science because of being in medical field, and your session literally helped me recollect certain things. And thank you so much on behalf of 20 participants who logged in, and most of them are our regulars. So thank you to our regular patrons for being with us. I'm seeing Dr. Maharaja, Dr. Parthasarathi, and Dr. Shivakalai and others, Varshita, etc., etc. Thank you so much, Dr. Vinod Bhushan and etc. Dr. Sridhar, thank you, Satyanathan. We appreciate your continuous and constant presence because of your presence only it matters to us to bring esteemed guests like our speaker today, Dr. Sahas. Thank you so much, sir. It was really insightful, and you literally took us from that era. And for the sake of our participants, I would like to remind in Netflix, there are a bunch of documentaries based on this particular topic, especially the fossil things.
Madam, one more PDF is there. I have suggested few books also.
Okay.
The last this thing. I think I have missed that.
Okay. So
After
you
Dubinsky, I
okay.
have suggested few books. Will you be
Okay.
able to screen
Drawing.
it?
Yes. No, no, no. I closed it, sir. I will try to. Meanwhile, I request Dr. Kannan to engage, give some announcements. I'll pull it up again.
Yeah, I have posted